On April 20th at dawn, two young men set out on a fishing trip down the river towards a dense mangrove forest. Their journey took them on a long boat ride downstream, navigating through calm waters and thick vegetation, until they finally arrived at a secluded and serene spot, far from the bustle of civilization. As one of the men jumped into the water to secure their boat, a sharp, acrid odor caught his attention. Intrigued and slightly uneasy, they decided to investigate the source of the smell. The men carefully made their way ashore, the pungent scent growing stronger with each step. Their curiosity soon turned to horror when they stumbled upon a ghastly scene. A human body hanging lifelessly from a tree branch, its decomposition evident. Nearby, a skull lay on the ground, partially covered by leaves and debris. Shocked and terrified by their gruesome discovery, the men quickly abandoned their boat and hurried to the nearest village to report the chilling find. Their urgent news prompted an immediate response from local authorities, setting off a chain of events that would unravel a tragic and mysterious tale. In response to the alarming report, a team of investigators, forensic experts, and police officers swiftly arrived at the remote scene. Their mission was to uncover the truth behind the horrifying discovery. Upon arrival, the experts confirmed that the body was indeed human. The state of decomposition suggested that it had been hanging from the tree for an extended period. As the investigators carefully examined the area, they found several items scattered nearby: packs of cigarettes, a bottle of packaged drinking water, and a lighter. These personal belongings likely belonged to the victim, providing crucial clues to the identity of the deceased. The remains, including the skull found on the ground, were carefully collected and sent for a detailed forensic examination. Amidst the decomposed flesh and torn clothing, forensic experts identified the victim through modest remnants of her attire. The tragic revelation confirmed the identity of the deceased as Liga Scromane, a 33-year-old hiker who had gone missing. The discovery of her body marked the beginning of a complex investigation to unravel the circumstances leading to her untimely death. Liga Scromane was born in Latvia in 1986, growing up in a large and loving family. She was particularly close to her siblings, sharing both joys and hardships with her older brother and younger sister, Ilse. As she grew older, Liga moved to Ireland, where her life took a new turn. There she met Andrew Jordan. Initially, Liga's shy nature made it difficult for her to connect with new people. However, over time, she and Andrew grew close, eventually marrying and making plans for their future together. The couple shared a dream of opening a yoga retreat center in Portugal. They worked hard, saving money for 4 years to bring their vision to life. But in early 2018, Liga's life took a difficult turn. She began experiencing severe skin disease, which caused her considerable physical discomfort and led to depression. Understanding her sister's plight, Ilse decided to help. She invited Liga on a healing trip to Kerala, India, renowned for its Ayurvedic treatments. Ilse hoped that this journey would help Liga find relief from her ailments and restore her emotional well-being. The sisters embarked on their trip in February 2018, seeking solace and healing in the tranquil environment of Kerala. In February 2018, Liga and her sister Ilse traveled to Kovalam, Kerala, with the hope of healing and rejuvenation. They enrolled in a 6-week Ayurvedic treatment program, which included yoga classes, meditation sessions, and various traditional therapies. The serene environment of Kovalam was ideal for their purpose, promising relaxation and recovery. However, on the morning of March 14th, Liga, complaining of a headache, decided to skip her yoga class. Instead, she stayed in her room while Ilse attended the session. Later that day, Liga left the hotel alone, dressed in leggings and a yoga t-shirt. She hired an auto rickshaw and headed to Kovalam Beach, a popular spot for both locals and tourists. As the day turned into night, Ilse grew increasingly worried. She frantically searched the beach, showing Liga's picture to anyone who would listen, but no one had seen her sister. Despite her efforts, there was no sign of Liga. Desperate, Ilse reported Liga's disappearance to the local police. Unfortunately, the initial response was dismissive and no immediate action was taken. The search for Liga had begun, but she remained missing, and Ilse's anxiety grew with each passing hour. Initially, when Liga disappeared, the local police were dismissive, assuring Ilse and Andrew that she would likely return on her own. However, days turned into weeks without any sign of Liga. Frustrated by the lack of progress and concerned for Liga's safety, Ilse and Andrew decided to take matters into their own hands. They launched a vigorous campaign, reaching out to the local media and leveraging social media platforms to amplify their plea for help. Posters bearing Liga's image were plastered across Kovalam and neighboring areas, urging anyone with information to come forward. Ilse and Andrew offered a substantial reward, hoping it would incentivize people to provide crucial leads. The community rallied behind them, with locals joining in the search efforts. Together they combed through the bustling beaches and quiet corners of Kovalam, hoping to uncover any clue that could lead them to Liga. Their determination grew as each day passed without any news. Despite the mounting pressure and public outcry, weeks went by with no breakthroughs. Hope began to wane until April 20th, when a chilling discovery was made deep within the dense mangrove jungle. It was a tragic moment that would forever change the course of their search. A local resident stumbled upon a human body suspended from a tree branch, hidden amidst the tangled roots and dense foliage of the mangroves. The grim find sparked an immediate response from authorities, who rushed to the scene to investigate. Forensic experts and police officers meticulously examined the site, confirming the worst fears of Ilse and Andrew. The body, showing signs of decomposition, was identified as Liga's through the remnants of clothing and personal items found nearby. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community and marked a devastating turning point in the search for Liga Skromani. Ilse and Andrew, upon seeing the body, recognized Liga's clothes, but noticed discrepancies with her jacket and shoes. The condition of the body was distressing, with severe injuries and the head found separately. To confirm Liga's identity definitively, DNA analysis was necessary. Forensic experts concluded that Liga had been strangled to death, marking a tragic end to their search. This revelation brought both closure and further questions about the circumstances leading to Liga's untimely demise. After an extensive investigation, law enforcement officials apprehended Umesh and Udayakumar, who, under interrogation, confessed to the brutal killing of Liga. They disclosed that they had enticed her with narcotics before subjecting her to a harrowing ordeal of abuse and ultimately strangling her to death. Both perpetrators had a history of criminal activities, which raised serious concerns about their propensity for violence and exploitation. Despite Andrew's persistent suspicions that more individuals might have been involved in Liga's tragic fate, the Supreme Court of India rejected his plea for a case review due to the lack of substantial direct evidence implicating additional suspects. This decision left Liga's family and advocates dismayed, as they sought closure and justice for the heinous crime that befell her during her quest for healing in India. In December 2022, the judicial process reached its culmination with the sentencing of Umesh and Udayakumar to life imprisonment, a pivotal moment in the quest for justice in Liga's case. This landmark decision not only marked the end of a legal chapter, but also served as a poignant reminder of the prevalence of violence against women in India. The court's ruling, which also mandated the payment of compensatory damages to Ilse, Liga's determined sister, resonated deeply nationwide. The tireless efforts of Liga's family, bolstered by unwavering support from the media and advocacy from a prominent member of parliament, ensured that every facet of the case received thorough scrutiny and consideration. Their persistent pursuit of truth and justice amidst numerous challenges underscored the gravity of the issue and amplified calls for systemic change to protect and uphold the rights of women across the country. The verdict was not merely a closure for Liga's loved ones, but also a rallying cry for broader societal awareness and action against gender-based violence. It underscored the collective resolve to address deep-rooted societal issues and foster a safer environment where every individual, regardless of gender, can live free from fear and harm. Liga's heartbreaking tale serves as a powerful lesson about the risks that may await in unknown locales. Through her family's unyielding perseverance, a measure of justice was achieved. Yet her ordeal highlights the critical need for vigilance and prudence, especially for women journeying solo in foreign lands. This tragic incident underscores the significance of ensuring personal safety and taking precautions while exploring unfamiliar territories. Thank you for watching this documentary segment. Stay tuned for more compelling narratives. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on our latest stories.
Monday, September 14, 2015, dawned bright and full of promise for 16-year-old Nolan Buchanan. The previous day had been one of joy and connection, a perfect Sunday spent with his girlfriend. They started the day attending a traditional morning mass with her family, a ritual that filled Nolan with a sense of peace and community. Following the service, they spent the afternoon with friends, laughing and enjoying each other's company. As the sun set, the couple shared a romantic evening, making memories that Nolan hoped would last a lifetime. Waking up on that Monday morning, Nolan felt a surge of optimism and excitement. He saw himself as a young, successful businessman, standing on the threshold of a new chapter in his life. The recent inheritance of Buchanan Construction from his late father had given him a sense of purpose and responsibility. Nolan was determined to honor his father's legacy while bringing fresh ideas and improvements to the family business. His mind buzzed with plans and strategies to revitalize the company, envisioning innovative projects and new opportunities that would elevate Buchanan Construction to new heights. As he got ready for the day, Nolan's thoughts were filled with dreams of a bright future. He imagined transforming the business, implementing modern management techniques, and expanding their reach. With youthful enthusiasm and a heart full of ambition, Nolan felt ready to take on the world. The promise of new beginnings and the support of his loved ones gave him the confidence that he could achieve anything he set his mind to. Little did he know, the events that would soon unfold would shatter his idyllic vision and change his life forever. However, just a few weeks later, on October 1, 2015, Nolan's dreams came crashing down. That day, at Bonita High School in Bonita, California, the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office arrested him. The sight of Nolan being taken away in handcuffs shocked everyone. Nolan, once a promising young man with a bright future, was now facing severe charges. He was detained at the Juvenile Treatment Center in South Lake Tahoe, where he awaited his trial. The gravity of the charges against Nolan was staggering. He was accused of crimes that left the community reeling. On June 13, 2018, after a brief 2-hour deliberation, the jury found him guilty on 3 counts. The courtroom was tense as the verdict was read, confirming Nolan's fate. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. This dramatic fall from grace left his neighbors and classmates in shock, struggling to reconcile the Nolan they knew with the heinous acts he was convicted of committing. The transformation from a hopeful teenager to a convicted criminal was both swift and tragic, leaving a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. Nolan's family life appeared idyllic to outsiders. His father, Adam Buchanan, owned Buchanan Construction, a company that provided a comfortable lifestyle for the family. Adam was a hard-working man, dedicated to his business and determined to offer his family the best. After his first marriage ended in divorce, Adam was left to raise Nolan on his own. This changed when he met Molly. Molly was a cheerful, sociable woman who joined Buchanan Construction as an office manager. She quickly caught Adam's eye, and their mutual interest blossomed into a serious relationship. Molly moved in with Adam, and they soon married. She dreamed of creating a loving, happy family, and put considerable effort into building a positive relationship with her stepson, Nolan. Not long after their marriage, Molly gave birth to Gavin, adding more joy to their home. The family often retreated to their vacation property in El Dorado County, a rustic cabin nestled on 19 acres of land. This cabin, though lacking modern conveniences like electricity and running water, became a cherished getaway. Adam, with his construction skills, actively remodeled the cabin, turning it into a cozy retreat. The Buchanans spent many weekends and holidays there, enjoying the peace and beauty of nature away from the hustle and bustle of their everyday lives. The cabin symbolized the Buchanan family's bond and shared moments of happiness. Friends and neighbors saw them as a close-knit, loving family. They often heard stories of their adventures and relaxing times spent at the cabin, reinforcing the image of an ideal family. Adam's successful business, their comfortable lifestyle, and the frequent family getaways to the rustic cabin painted a picture of harmony and contentment. However, behind this facade of happiness, there were underlying tensions and conflicts. These would eventually surface, revealing a much darker reality than anyone could have imagined. But for a time, at least, the Buchanan family appeared to be living the dream, enjoying the fruits of Adam's labor and the warmth of their family bonds. On September 13, 2015, a wildfire broke out in Greenwood Township, California. The flames swept through the area, engulfing and destroying the Buchanan family's rustic cabin. When firefighters arrived at the scene, they found the remains of the cabin still smoldering. At first, the firefighters thought that the fire might have claimed the life of a trapped pet, as charred remains were found in the ashes. However, as they began to inspect the scene more closely, a more tragic reality emerged. Amid the rubble and ashes, the coroner discovered a human skull and other human remains. This gruesome find suggested that the fire had taken more than just property. The initial assumption of an accidental wildfire causing the death of a pet quickly gave way to a more serious investigation. The authorities called in backup from the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office to examine the scene in detail. As they sifted through the debris, it became evident that this was not just a tragic accident but potentially a crime scene. The human remains found in the ruins indicated that the fire might have been a cover-up for something far more sinister. Detectives quickly identified the charred remains as those of 2 adults and a child. A skull with a bullet hole indicated foul play, shifting the investigation from a tragic accident to a homicide. The primary question became, who could have committed such a heinous act? Suspicion soon fell on Nolan Buchanan. Initially, Nolan claimed his father, stepmother, and younger brother had gone to the cabin without him, leaving him to look after the house. However, as investigators delved deeper, they began to find evidence that contradicted his story. Surveillance footage showed the family's truck, a Ford F-150, traveling back and forth from the cabin, not the Dodge truck Nolan had mentioned. Forensic evidence also began to unravel Nolan's narrative. Nolan's fingerprints were found on a rifle discovered near the crime scene, raising serious questions about his involvement. Financial records added another layer of suspicion. Transactions made with Adam Buchanan's credit card during the weekend of the murders indicated Nolan's presence at locations far from where he claimed to be. Further scrutiny revealed more inconsistencies in Nolan's account of his whereabouts. Interviews with his girlfriend and friends didn't align with the timeline he provided. As the evidence mounted, it became increasingly clear that Nolan's story didn't add up, leading investigators to focus their attention on him as a prime suspect in the tragic events at the Buchanan cabin. During the trial, Nolan maintained his innocence, alleging self-defense against his abusive father. However, forensic evidence and the sequence of events presented by the prosecution undermined his claims. On July 13, 2018, Nolan was found guilty of first-degree murder for the deaths of his father, stepmother, and brother. He was sentenced to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. During the trial, Nolan Buchanan maintained his innocence, claiming that he had acted in self-defense against his abusive father. According to Nolan, his father, Adam, had been violent towards him, and on the night of the murders, a confrontation had escalated into a deadly struggle. Nolan insisted that his father had shot the family members and then turned the gun on him, forcing Nolan to defend himself. However, the prosecution presented a different narrative, one supported by compelling forensic evidence and a meticulously constructed timeline of events. Investigators had discovered Nolan's fingerprints on the rifle found near the crime scene. Additionally, surveillance footage and financial records contradicted Nolan's account of his whereabouts during the weekend of the murders. Security cameras captured Nolan using his father's credit card and driving the family's Ford F-150, directly linking him to the scene. The forensic evidence was damning. The angles of the bullet wounds suggested that the victims had been shot by someone standing over them, which did not support Nolan's claim of a chaotic struggle. Furthermore, the lack of defensive wounds on Nolan indicated that he had not been engaged in a life-and-death fight as he described. The prosecution argued that Nolan had premeditated the murders, aiming to take over the family business and escape the abuse he allegedly endured. On July 13, 2018, after a thorough and emotional trial, the jury found Nolan Buchanan guilty of first-degree murder for the deaths of his father, stepmother, and younger brother. The judge sentenced Nolan to 150 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 25 years. As the sentence was handed down, the courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and sorrow, marking the end of a tragic chapter for the Buchanan family. The case of Nolan Buchanan is a tragic and cautionary tale. It raises questions about the pressures faced by young individuals and the dark undercurrents that can exist beneath the surface of seemingly normal family lives. As Nolan serves his sentence, he maintains his innocence, holding on to the hope that one day he might be free. His story serves as a reminder of how quickly dreams can turn into nightmares and the profound impact of family dynamics on young lives.
In 2011, Philip Grandin shocked Canada and garnered widespread international media attention. Philip was a former Baptist church pastor and a qualified medical professional working at a nursing home. The public was horrified when he was accused of committing a heinous crime against his wife, Carissa Grandin, who was 20 weeks pregnant at the time. This case was not just a simple investigation. It turned into a complex legal battle that dragged on for over a decade. Throughout the years, many twists and turns emerged, keeping the public and media captivated. The final judgment by the court, however, did not bring closure. Carissa's relatives were left deeply dissatisfied, feeling that justice had not been fully served. Their grief and frustration only grew as they witnessed the prolonged and tumultuous legal process unfold. Carissa Anna Grandin, née Darwin, was born on October 10, 1981, in Pasay City, Philippines. She was the eldest of two daughters in a modest family. Her parents, Maria and Marvin Darwin, worked hard to provide for Carissa and her younger sister, Joanna. Seeking a better future, the Darwin family decided to immigrate to Canada when Carissa was just 13 years old. They settled in Toronto, where the family became active members of the local Baptist church community. Carissa excelled in her studies, displaying a keen intellect and a love for learning. She was an outstanding student, always eager to help others and participate in church activities. After completing high school, Carissa enrolled in university, choosing to study archaeology and geology. She balanced her academic life with a part-time job at a hardware store to support herself. In 2006, she graduated with honors, earning a master's degree. Her friends and colleagues described her as kind, attentive, and deeply religious. She was known for her dedication to her studies and her faith. Carissa's life in Toronto was marked by her strong sense of community and her unwavering commitment to her education and religious beliefs. Philip Grandin was born on August 18, 1986, in Paris, France, but moved to Toronto with his parents when he was a child. Like Carissa's family, Philip's parents were devout Baptists, raising him with strict adherence to their faith. Philip was an ambitious student, excelling academically and participating in various school competitions and scientific conferences. Despite his achievements, he struggled to make friends, as his peers often saw him as a nerd. Philip received a scholarship in his senior year and graduated as the top student in his district. His parents insisted he attend a theological seminary, and after graduating, he became a pastor at a Baptist church in Toronto. It was here, amidst their shared faith and community, that Philip and Carissa's paths eventually crossed, setting the stage for their future together. Philip and Carissa met at church, where their shared faith and mutual dedication to their community quickly drew them together. Their connection was immediate and strong, leading to a whirlwind romance that culminated in their marriage just a few months later. They settled in Scarborough, a district of Toronto, and seemed to embody the ideal couple. Friends and family often remarked on their deep commitment to each other and their faith, noting how they worked together in church activities and community outreach. In the early years, their life together appeared blissful. Philip continued his work as a pastor, while Carissa supported him, often helping with church events and volunteering in the community. They were often seen as role models, embodying the principles and values they preached. However, beneath the surface, their relationship was not as perfect as it appeared. Philip's demanding role as a pastor, combined with Carissa's responsibilities and ambitions, began to create strain. The couple faced challenges that many did not see. Their differing personalities and pressures from their roles led to disagreements and tensions that slowly grew over time. Despite these issues, they continued to present a united front, maintaining their involvement in the church and community. Their struggles remained hidden from most as they sought to uphold the image of a perfect, faithful couple. This facade, however, only masked the brewing troubles that would later come to light, revealing a much more complicated and troubled relationship than anyone had imagined. Carissa had long dreamed of becoming a mother, but a medical condition made it difficult for her to conceive. After years of trying, her prayers were answered in 2011 when she finally became pregnant. The news brought Carissa immense joy and hope for the future. She envisioned a happy family life and believed this miracle could strengthen her marriage with Philip. However, Philip's reaction to the pregnancy was unexpectedly cold and indifferent, a stark contrast to Carissa's elation. This difference in emotions planted seeds of doubt and concern in Carissa's mind. Her worries grew when she stumbled upon a devastating secret. Philip was having an affair with Elaine Florentino, a young congregant and a close friend of Carissa's. The revelation shattered Carissa's world. She felt betrayed and heartbroken, struggling to reconcile the man she loved with the one who had deceived her. Despite her anguish, Carissa was determined to salvage her marriage. She confronted Philip, demanding that he end the affair immediately and commit to therapy to repair their relationship. Carissa's efforts were driven by a deep desire to provide a stable and loving home for their unborn child. She believed that with time, forgiveness, and professional help, they could overcome this dark chapter. However, the strain of the betrayal and Philip's ongoing indifference made the road to recovery a difficult and uncertain journey. In October 2011, Carissa's life took a tragic turn. After consuming a smoothie and herbal tea prepared by Philip, she suddenly fell severely ill. Alarmed, she sought medical help, and hospital tests revealed that she had ingested a large dose of lorazepam, a powerful sedative. This discovery raised immediate suspicions, as Carissa did not have any prescriptions for such medication. Carissa confided in friends and family, expressing her growing fear that Philip might be trying to harm her. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Her once stable world was crumbling, and she felt increasingly vulnerable and isolated. Just a few days later, on October 17th, Carissa was found unconscious in the bathtub of their home. Despite desperate efforts to save her, she was pronounced dead at the hospital. The tragedy was compounded by the loss of her unborn child, a devastating blow to her family and friends. The sudden and suspicious circumstances surrounding her death shocked the community and led to an outpouring of grief and anger. The once idyllic image of Carissa and Philip's marriage was shattered, replaced by a dark and unsettling mystery that left many questions unanswered. Following Carissa's tragic death, Philip's behavior raised many eyebrows. At her funeral, he displayed an unsettling lack of grief. His cold demeanor was a stark contrast to the sorrow surrounding him. Even more shocking was his decision to bring Elaine Florentino, his mistress, to the funeral. Their presence together added fuel to the suspicions already brewing among Carissa's family and friends. Carissa's family, convinced that something was terribly wrong, pressed the police to look deeper into the circumstances of her death. They couldn't ignore the strange symptoms she had before her passing and Philip's odd behavior. The investigation took a new turn as detectives began to scrutinize Philip's actions more closely. In May 2012, Their efforts bore fruit. Philip was arrested on suspicion of murder. The accusations were serious. He was alleged to have drugged Carissa with lorazepam, making her unconscious before drowning her in the bathtub. The arrest marked the beginning of a long and painful legal battle, as Carissa's loved ones sought answers and accountability for her untimely death. The trial of Philip Grandin began in February 2014, capturing the attention of both the media and the public. The courtroom was filled with tension as the prosecution laid out their case against him. Central to their argument was Philip's internet search history, which revealed disturbing queries about lethal doses of lorazepam. This evidence painted a chilling picture of premeditation. Additionally, the prosecution highlighted Philip's continued affair with Elaine Florentino, even after Carissa's tragic death. This relationship, they argued, was a motive for the murder, showing that Philip wanted to eliminate Carissa from his life permanently. Witnesses testified about Philip's behavior and the suspicious circumstances surrounding Carissa's death. Carissa's family provided emotional accounts, portraying her as a loving wife and expectant mother, whose life was brutally cut short. The defense tried to counter these arguments, but the evidence against Philip was overwhelming. In January 2015, the jury returned with a verdict. Philip was found guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to 15 years in prison without the possibility of parole, a decision that brought some measure of justice to Carissa's grieving family. Philip's defense team quickly filed an appeal, arguing that the evidence used to convict him was circumstantial and suggesting an alternative theory that Carissa might have taken her own life. These claims added complexity to an already convoluted case. Despite his conviction, Philip was repeatedly released on bail while awaiting new trials, causing further distress to Carissa's family. In 2019, the legal battle took another turn. Philip faced new charges of manslaughter and failure to render aid, indicating the court's belief that his actions, or lack thereof, contributed significantly to Carissa's death. The trial was yet another emotional ordeal for Carissa's loved ones, who had to relive the tragic events once more. The court, after carefully considering the new charges, found Philip guilty again. This reaffirmed the 15-year sentence, maintaining that justice was served despite his ongoing attempts to overturn the conviction. However, undeterred by the repeated legal setbacks, Philip continued to file appeals, determined to fight the verdict. The appeals and new trials highlighted the complexities of the legal system and the challenges in achieving a sense of closure for those left behind. After more than 11 years of legal proceedings, the case of Philip Grandin reached its conclusion in May 2022, when the Supreme Court decided to uphold his sentence. Despite numerous appeals by Philip's defense team, the court firmly stood by its earlier decision, reaffirming the 15-year prison term. Throughout this prolonged legal journey, Philip had been granted bail multiple times, allowing him to remain free amidst ongoing trials and appeals. Despite the court's decision, Carissa's family found little closure. They maintained that justice had not been completely served, feeling the pain of their loss anew with each legal twist and turn. The final verdict left them grappling with a sense of unresolved grief and the lingering question of what truly happened to Carissa on that fateful day. The story of Carissa Grandin stands as a poignant reminder of a family shattered by betrayal and violence. Her loved ones still struggle to find comfort, clinging to cherished memories of their daughter and sister. The tragic events that unfolded have left an indelible mark on their lives, forever altering their sense of trust and security. Despite the legal proceedings and verdict, Carissa's family carries the burden of unanswered questions and unresolved emotions. Her memory lives on in their hearts, a beacon of love overshadowed by the darkness of a crime that robbed them of her presence. In 1995, Kansas enacted a crucial law to prevent criminals from using mental disorders as excuses for planning crimes. This law aimed to address a common tactic where offenders try to evade responsibility by blaming their actions on mental health problems. The heartbreaking story of the Kaler family vividly highlights the impact of this legislation on real lives. It underscores the intricate connections between legal frameworks and psychological explanations in understanding how tragedies unfold. The Kayla case serves as a poignant example of the complexities involved when examining the role of mental health in criminal behavior within the justice system. James Craig Kayla and Karen Kayla, born Karen White, looked like they were living the perfect American life, happily married, with kids, and a bright future ahead. They lived in Weatherford, Texas, where Craig worked as an engineer and Karen took care of their home. Their children, Emily, Lauren, and Sean, made their family seem ideal. But behind this happy image were hidden problems that nobody knew about. Underneath the happy exterior, Karen faced challenges with Craig's growing need to control everything. He watched every penny she spent and demanded to know her plans every day. Karen tried to meet his demands, but Craig's grip only tightened, making her feel like she had no say in her own life. She felt suffocated and unable to make decisions for herself. Finding solace in fitness, Karen started going to the gym regularly, where she eventually became a fitness instructor. This new job gave her a sense of control and financial freedom, allowing her to support herself independently. During this time, Karen formed an unexpected romantic bond with Sonny Rice, who was also working at the fitness club. Their relationship blossomed quietly amid the routine of gym sessions and fitness classes. For Karen, it was a welcome escape from the constraints of her troubled marriage and a source of emotional support during a challenging time in her life. Upon discovering Karen's affair, Craig responded with an unusual proposal. He suggested becoming involved in Karen and Sonny's relationship, believing it could somehow revive their own marriage. However, instead of bringing them closer together, Craig's insistence on controlling the situation only drove them further apart. His attempt to assert dominance over Karen's personal life backfired, causing irreparable damage to their marriage. This misguided effort intensified the already strained dynamics within the family, ultimately leading to tragic consequences. In a last-ditch effort to save his family, Craig made the decision to relocate them to Missouri. However, despite the move, Karen's connection with Sonny persisted in secret, further deepening the existing divide within their already troubled family. The relocation did not resolve the underlying issues between Craig and Karen. Instead, it amplified the tensions and unresolved conflicts. This move marked a pivotal moment in their story, as it highlighted the inability to mend the broken bonds and the continued turmoil within their lives. The breaking point came unexpectedly during a Thanksgiving visit to Karen's grandmother in Kansas. It was supposed to be a time of family gathering and gratitude, but instead, it turned into a nightmare. Craig, in a fit of rage and armed with a weapon, unleashed an unthinkable wave of violence. His actions tragically ended the lives of Karen, Emily, and Lauren, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable devastation. Sean, their youngest child, bore witness to this harrowing event, experiencing firsthand the horror that unfolded before his innocent eyes. The once promising future of the Kayla family was instantly shattered, leaving the community stunned, grieving, and struggling to comprehend the magnitude of such senseless loss. The shocking incident became the climax of the family's long-standing struggles, exposing the hidden turmoil that had been brewing beneath the surface for years. It shattered any lingering illusions of happiness and stability, laying bare the grim consequences of unchecked emotions and unresolved conflicts within a family. The aftermath of this tragedy rippled through the community and beyond, serving as a stark reminder of how quickly life can turn from joy to despair. It left a scar on the hearts of those who knew the Kaylas, prompting reflection on the fragility of human relationships and the devastating impact of unchecked anger and violence. Following his arrest, Craig's trial became a grim spectacle that highlighted the calculated nature of his violence rather than any mental instability. The defense's efforts to portray Craig's actions as driven by mental illness were meticulously dismantled by the prosecution. Through a series of damning testimonies and compelling evidence, it became clear that Craig's actions were deliberate and premeditated. The courtroom was a somber setting, filled with members of the community who had been deeply affected by the tragedy. As the trial progressed, the devastating impact of Craig's actions was laid bare, not only illustrating the brutal end of his family, but also the shock and grief that rippled through the community. Witnesses recounted the horrors of that Thanksgiving visit, painting a vivid picture of the terror and loss endured by those who loved Karen, Emily, and Lauren. Ultimately, the jury found Craig guilty on multiple counts of murder. His sentencing to death was a stark conclusion to a legal process that had exposed the true extent of his crimes. The verdict was more than just a legal formality. It was a powerful statement of societal condemnation for his heinous deeds. This trial and its outcome served as a somber reminder of the profound loss experienced by the victims' families and the community at large. The sentencing was a crucial step in seeking justice for Karen, Emily, and Lauren, and it underscored the devastating consequences of unchecked anger and control. The community's collective mourning and the trial's resolution emphasized the need for vigilance against such destructive behaviors, ensuring that the memory of the victims would not be forgotten and that their loss would continue to resonate as a warning to all. Sean, now the only surviving member of the Kaler family, has found strength and solace in the loving care of his maternal relatives. This heart-wrenching saga serves as a stark warning of the devastating consequences that arise from unchecked jealousy and controlling behavior. The loss of his mother and sisters has left an indelible mark on Sean's life, a void that he carries with him every day. Living with his maternal relatives, Sean has been enveloped in a supportive and nurturing environment, which has been crucial for his healing process. The tragic story of the Kaler family stands as a poignant reminder of the fragility of family bonds and the profound impact of unresolved conflicts. The community that once saw the Kalers as the embodiment of the American dream now grapples with the aftermath of this harrowing event, reflecting on the warning signs that were missed or ignored. Despite the passage of time, the pain and sorrow of their loss remain a significant part of Sean's journey towards healing and resilience. Each day is a step towards rebuilding his life, but the memories of his mother and sisters continue to influence him deeply. Their absence is a constant reminder of the love and support he lost, but also of the strength he must summon to move forward. Sean's story is a testament to the enduring human spirit and the capacity to find hope and strength even in the darkest of times. His resilience, supported by his maternal family, highlights the importance of a strong support system in overcoming trauma. The Kaler family tragedy, while devastating, serves as a critical lesson on the impacts of jealousy, control, and the importance of addressing underlying issues before they escalate into unimaginable violence. In telling Sean's story, we are reminded of the essential nature of love, support, and understanding within families and communities. His journey towards healing is ongoing, marked by the scars of his past, but driven by a resolve to build a future that honors the memory of his lost loved ones. The Kaler family's story remains a powerful narrative about the complexities of human relationships and the dire need for compassion and intervention in the face of destructive behavior. The Kaler family case serves as a powerful reminder of how a seemingly happy family can be torn apart by uncontrollable possessiveness, leading to unimaginable tragedy. Their story highlights the dangers of jealousy and unchecked control within relationships, showing the profound impact on both individuals and their families. It stands as a cautionary tale, urging society to recognize and address the warning signs of such destructive behavior before it escalates into irreparable harm. The Kalers were once viewed as the ideal American family, living a life that appeared perfect on the surface. However, beneath this facade, issues of control and possessiveness festered, eventually leading to a catastrophic breakdown. This case emphasizes how vital it is to foster open communication and seek help when warning signs appear. Often these signs are subtle at first, manifesting as excessive monitoring or controlling behavior, but they can escalate quickly if left unaddressed. The devastating consequences of these actions reverberate through communities, leaving scars that may never fully heal. The Kalers' tragic end serves as a somber reminder that behind closed doors, many families may struggle with similar issues. It is a call to action for friends, family, and community members to be vigilant and supportive, providing help and resources to those who may be in distress. The story of the Kayla family underscores the importance of fostering healthy, respectful relationships built on trust and mutual support. It is a poignant example of how unchecked negative emotions can destroy lives and devastate families. By promoting awareness and understanding, society can help prevent such tragedies and ensure that families have the tools and support they need to thrive. Ultimately, the Kayla's heartbreaking journey is a lesson in the critical need for intervention and support in the face of controlling and jealous behavior. It challenges us to look beyond appearances and address the underlying issues that can lead to such devastating outcomes. By learning from their story, we can work towards creating a society where every individual feels safe, respected, and valued in their relationships.